you can't imagine how gross I would find it if you felt you had to lose to me. Like, oh, that's so emotionally weak when somebody can't like tolerate that. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Relationship Theory. It is so good to be back and live, and I am your co-host, Tom Bilyeu. I am here with the lovely and talented and amazing, beautiful person that I got to spend a lot of quality time with recently, Lisa Bilyeu.
All right, so the next question, this is from Matt Wyman again. What has been the single best discipline you have used to strengthen your relationship, both individually and together?
The single best discipline?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, but so tactics maybe. What are the tactics that we use? Communication is the obvious sense, but let's try to give people something a little bit more than that. Proximity, like that's a big deal. Making sure that we spend time together. That's been really, really important. I don't think there's any substitute for proximity just to make it really clinical. I think you have to like be together, and that's one of the secrets to our success has been, when you talk about growing together, that's a big one. So we started out, I worked all day, you didn't, and that was us very much going in separate directions. And then when we started working together, that was one thing, but like I was the boss and you were the employee. So like there wasn't necessarily the balance in that. And then now truly being equals in the company, like that's been awesome. That's been a really great way for us to put in the time, be together, have the same, share a vision, share just like the dream of exactly what we're trying to build. Like there's so much togetherness and all of that. That's been great. And I know that is certainly not something that everybody can accommodate with their lives, but that's been really, really beneficial. So if we didn't have that, like my recommendation to couples would be to have something that's goal-oriented. So let's say being dance partners or something like that. In fact, this is really interesting. If you and I were going to be dance partners, I'd want to try to win something. And then like in that, because it's like the same thing, the same reason. It's interesting that you're not sure why I would want that.
Because you're so not competitive, even when we
not
play
at all.
games.
So watch me in this. This is why. Suffering is useful because it forces you to come up with tactics. If we were trying to win something, in fact, what are you talking about? Video games. Like we're so competitive when we're playing.
It's true, actually. But I guess when we play games with the family, like you do like to win, but you're not like my family, my brother and your sister are so competitive.
No question.
Where they'll like start scratching out people's eyes just so they can win.
But
you're like, I don't care.
I would like to say, even with that, I've won the Christmas Cup twice.
The funny thing is you absolutely have, but there's not that like...
It's not my highest value. That's the reason. Like, so when I go into something, as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm enjoying the family, like I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But below that, I love winning. Like that's really fun. It's a great way to test your skills and like, but with the video games, like I am playing to win every time. And so there's this one part of the game that you never play that's like really hard. And you're playing against just like the best people that play the game. And I always put that I go to the casual. So there's two places you can play, like competitive and casual. You're playing the same people.
Right.
So it's just a question of, do your teammates expect you to be amazing, or are they going to tolerate that you're just there to have fun?
Okay.
Now, I'm there to win. Let's make no mistake about it. But I always go to casual because my skill set is just not, like people would freak out if they got me on their team in a competitive space. They'd not be pleased. But I'm the only one that's like there to win. Like when you talk to the other people, they're like, oh, I can't believe like people take this so seriously and stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, why would you hate on that? Like, yes, okay, we got our asses handed to us. Yes, the people that we're playing against have clearly practiced and they're very good. But isn't that the idea? Like if you're going to show up, if you're going to spend an hour, be the best you can be in that hour. Like nothing else makes sense to me. Okay. So
how does that turn to dancing?
You'll have to come up with the mechanisms to deal with that. What happens when you lose?
Right.
Do you and the other person turns to you and has intensity and is like, hey, we need to figure this out. Like we need to try to do this. Like you're going to have to learn how to deal with that. Right. For instance, if there was a certain game, I would get so pissed off. So we play as a fire team. It's me, Lisa, and my sister Kim. So we'd be in a fire team. I would get so pissed off, like if we lost.
Oh, yeah.
And so finally, but to me, like isn't anger like anger about injustice or like fighting with somebody. It's just that I can't believe I did that. I'm so mad. But I'm having a blast. Like I'm having such a good time. Like to have been on the competitive stage and tried and lost. Like, so I'm externalizing like, frustration and anger, but like I'm having such a good time. And you guys were like, we can't have fun when you do that.
Well, no, because you can't. So yeah, this is actually really interesting because we work together. Obviously, we've been married for a while, but playing video games kind of introduced a different dynamic between us. And so when we're playing, and if we're losing, you're like, Lisa, what the hell are you doing? Like, you need to stay right behind me. I told you to go, to stay behind and shoot when I shoot. And you yelling and just being that intense, like I'm just like, if you're not having fun, then don't play. But don't like force me to do. And so I then start getting like, I don't enjoy it because I want to feel like, look, you just messed up. And even though I want to win, it's like just a different way of approaching it.
And so in that, going back to the dancing, I've had to learn, even though that, and you're definitely misrepresenting what I do. I speak very intensely, and I will give you that. But I'm not like screaming, "What are you doing?" But I've had to realize when I externalize like that, even though internally I'm still having a great time, I'm just really intense. That doesn't play for you and Kim. So I've had to like change my language and adapt, which makes me think like there's a difference between how you feel and want to communicate and be communicated to, and how the other person can actually hear you. So things like that give you the tools that you need in all the other aspects of your life. So I think the like heightened, not stress, but like the elevated intensity and seriousness of a competition is actually interesting for sussing out like how you work together and deal with, like I think, and it's funny that I was saying that, forgetting that we actually already have that in our lives, which is interesting, and how like that's actually become a big part of our quality time. Is being competitive about something,
that's true.
which is really interesting.
But we're not competitive against each other. We're always on the same team. Yeah.
Always. I would get exactly zero joy from beating you. And there is one part of the game which we've played a few times where I'll actually let you kill me to make sure that you get like your bounties and stuff like that. And that actually makes me happy.
Yeah.
But killing you in a game would bring me no joy.
I still though, like, because you get positioned. So even though we're in the same team, we do then have a position within that team. And like, I do find joy though when I get to number one I beat you.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
That, and I totally
get that. And
get
because you're
that.
sweet about it, it makes me like proud that I got to number one. Otherwise, I feel really interesting. Guilty.
So this is really interesting because I want to beat you.
Yeah.
Like on our team, right? Like I want to be at the top, and I feel absolutely fantastic when I'm at the top.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I love it. Like when you crush, and while I'm like crestfallen that I have not done better, I'm so stoked for you because you performed and really killed it and crushed it. That is such an interesting thing that I really force myself to feed into, to be actively proud, to vocalize my pride to you when you do well. But at the same time, when I crush, like I'm going to own it. Like I crushed it. Like I'm so stoked to have won. And when people can get into that zone, I think that's really important. And the last thing you can't imagine how gross I would find it if you felt you had to lose to me. Like, oh, that's so emotionally weak when somebody can't like tolerate that. And look, I can say that as somebody who used to be like that. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. I actually thought you would only find me sexy if I could beat you at everything. And get to the physics of human psychology. No one wants to lose at everything. Nobody ever. So that just didn't make sense.
But someone also wants to feel like you have someone that is championing you so much that they want to see you win. And you talk about that a lot, right? Like with the team here, with any of your friends, like you just want to see people win. And that was really powerful for me to see. And you do it all the time with me, but for whatever reason, the Heroic podcast was really a big thing for me. Because I don't know, like you took it to a new level in making me feel like you were my biggest fan, and you would tell everyone that you would meet, and you were so supportive and so encouraging. And then on the day of our release, like it was about like, I'm so proud of my wife. And that was so genuine. And I felt like I had someone who wanted to see me win. And with couples, I think that's so important. Like, you had put yourself aside, like nothing, I'm not even thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about anything except I want this person to succeed. And I think if you can do that with your partner and let go of any emotions you may have, whether it's in a competition on a video game or in something, you know, in life, just putting them first and saying, I believe in you so much and I really want to see you succeed, gives a support that I don't know how to replicate other than that. Like, be your partner's biggest cheerleader. So powerful.
Super important.
So
I mean, that's like the core to me of relationships. Be
Yeah.
somebody's number one.
Yeah.
And I'm always grateful when I have an opportunity to prove you're my number one.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think that it's a quality people should nurture in themselves, to want other people to have a chance to shine. Like, you've got to want other people to have a chance to shine. And you can, by rewarding yourself and punishing yourself, you can get to the point where it's like, maybe that's not your default position. Maybe you just, like, you've got, first of all, shining is awesome. So everybody wants to shine. Winning is awesome. For sure. But you have to also train yourself to be able to, like, know this isn't my time to shine. This is their time to shine. Let them shine. And I don't know, I've never understood people that can't, like, take a back seat for a minute and let somebody else just, like, be the absolute center of the universe.
And I think that's a good test for people. Like, look at your partner, look at what is important to them and meaningful to them, and then what can you do to make them feel like you are their number one fan, right? Whether it's, like, obviously for you posted on social, and that was a really meaningful thing for me. You know, it was you shouting from the rooftops, which, going back to when you proposed, so he proposed to me at Alexandra Palace in London, is one of the highest points you can
No. The highest
the
point in
highest
London.
point, except for, like, in a building. I
Yeah.
think that's what I mean. But so you basically were like, I love this woman so much, I want to shout it from the rooftops. And so it has to be meaningful. You're like, hang on a minute, a place where you can see all the rooftops. So you would propose at Alexandra Palace that has this beautiful view of London. And so that metaphor really kind of came together. But what is that version for other people? Like, what is you letting that person know that you're screaming from the rooftops that you're their number one fan and you want them to succeed? I think that person would really reciprocate it, like, feel special. And I think that could be huge.